Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Being the last speaker always has an advantage as well as inherent disadvantages. The advantage being that I can lean upon what has been said before, and the last speaker, as a matter of fact, very aptly summed up the system that we are, albeit with minor modifications, implementing in Gujarat even as we speak. And therefore, it will make things a lot easier for me to take you through this presentation, a lot of which you know already. I think it's got stuck. Okay. The correlation between what happens in a disaster and the number of lives lost is very well known. Now, having a proper, robust information systems and the kind of savings that it causes to lives lost, properties damaged, doesn't require very much elaboration. I'm not saying that information is the only causal effect in cutting down losses to life and property, but it is one of the most important effects. So if you look at the summary of disasters we have had in the very, very recent future, you'll find that wherever there has been lacunae in information reaching in time, the losses have been fairly, fairly high. To give you two examples of how information technology and good communications can cut down losses, consider Bangladesh. Consider what happened in the recent cyclone in 2007, Cyclone Ayan, which was of enormous magnitude, but only 5,000 lives were lost, vis-a-vis what happened in 1998, where a cyclone of a lesser dimension caused almost 115,000 people to lose their lives. All this was possible because of the early warning systems and the communication equipment that they had in place over the intervening years. And obviously, to supplement that, the kind of drill, the kind of training that they had undergone to enable them to respond to early warning systems well in time. Now, ICT usage spans across different spectrums of disaster management. These are well known. The first obvious thing that you have to be concerned about is preparedness. It helps you in preparing yourself for disaster. Secondly, it helps you in response to a disaster, what happens after a disaster strikes you, the critical golden hour when all forms of communication seem to jam up, where nothing seems to work, SMSs don't get through, phone calls don't get through. What do? And here, I would like to reiterate what some of the speakers earlier had said, that in the disaster management field, as well as in law enforcement, you need to have systems, you need to have equipments, you need to have technologies in situ with various levels of redundancy. So much so that in case of an earthquake, when you find that even your towers have fallen down, your telephones are not working, nothing else is working, something has to work. What is it that has to work? It's the last resort. Here in Gujarat, we have basically, our system has 6 levels of redundancy. I'll be coming to that a bit later. But then ultimately, if all else fails, your SMSs fail, your telephones fail, your GSWAN fails, internet fails, your lease lines fail, then you have to go in for satellite phones. That's the last resort. And you have VSAT. But if even VSAT fails, satellite phones are the only recourse that can be had to reach from one point to the other. The ICT systems proposed by GSDMA, we are right in the middle of actually implementing our system. So a lot of the people who are there on the dais here today, or at least their companies, are people who are well known to me. At least the companies are well known. And then there's a lot of synergy in what they say, as well as a lot of hype, because after all, they are here to sell products. Let's not forget that. That being said, It is important when we are designing systems to have systems that enable multiple users to talk to each other. You cannot have systems that operate in silos, where the police have their own communication system, the emergency medical force has its own communication system, the fire brigade and the other first responders have their own communication systems. They should all mesh together seamlessly into a single system that works. And not only should it work even under the most adverse of situations. So the key components of the Gujarat State Disaster Response System is that you have an incident management system in a state emergency operating center, a building which we have constructed at enormous cost. It cost about 40 crores to complete that building. We have got 26 district emergency operating centers, one in every district of the state virtually. We have got 35 taluka emergency operating centers that have identified 35 extremely sensitive talukas of the state. And then we are also going to have a number of villages which are particularly prone to cyclones and also earthquakes. So you have an incident management system with the incident commander sitting in the state emergency operating center. It's going to be a unified communication center. There will be emergency response vehicles, which will basically carry, in case all forms of communications have broken down, these vehicles will be reaching up to the source of the emergency and be able to transmit information, be it in textual, visual, or voice, or any other form, in real time. Now what happens is the vehicle can't go up to the scene of the emergency, and the roads are broken. These vehicles will be equipped with small modules or small suitcases which can be pulled by hand by individuals and taken to the site of the disaster. I mean, it has gone down to that level of detailing. And there'll be alert and warning systems which can be activated in real time sitting here in Gandhinagar in the ACOC or sitting in a district at the DEOC by the district collector, who is normally designated as the incident commander in a district. Now this gives you some details of the incident management system. I think all of you know it. And those of you who have spoken from the law and order perspective and the Home Department's perspective, the only thing that I need to tell you is that as far as natural disasters are concerned, it's a bit different from what home departments typically look at. Because a home department would be busy 24/7, 365 days a year, because something or the other is arising all the time. Now, natural disasters, or let us say very large natural disasters, what we normally call black swan events, happen probably once a year, once in 3 years, once in 10 years. Something of the magnitude of an earthquake probably happened once in 40 years. So your ACOC should be flexible enough to normally run with a complement of 10 to 15 people. But in case of an emergency, you must have the ability to ratchet up the manning of the ACOC to about 90 or 100 people within minutes, so that it can operate seamlessly from a steady state to a state of emergency. That is a difference between having a kind of a ICT for disaster management and the kind of ICT that is required for normal law and order purposes. Otherwise, the principles remain the same, and the way it runs remains very much similar. The information needs are also very similar, and frankly, there is a huge case for combining the police needs, first emergency responder needs like the ambulances and the fire brigades all together, so that there's a single point of call in the case of any kind of emergency, be it a natural disaster, be it a theft, or be it an accident. Now, the way in which GSDMA has gone about it is that we have gone about it by trying to incorporate a BOOT model, a build, own, operate, transfer model. Why have we done this? Government has certain strengths, it has certain weaknesses. Information technology is changing so fast that if we set up a system today most of the architecture, most of the hardware will become obsolete within 3 years. So therefore, a boot system allows us to get in an operator who will be operating according to a pre-designed concession, which casts certain duties upon him and which also has certain duties upon us, be it government, be it the GSDMA, or all of us collectively. See, at the end of the day, what the GSDMA is interested in is actually information, and that too information in time, which is what we are really concerned about, which is why we are doing it through a series of service level agreements that are very tightly knit and which we feel will work in the long term. I think I have just about run out of time, but this will give you a flavor of what we are doing. We are actually in the process of awarding our contract. All vendors have been selected, all systems have been in place. We are in the process of actually going ahead with our ICT, which will be ready in about 6 months' time. Thank you very much.